There is a powder that costs $3 and makes any water on Earth safe to drink in under 60 seconds. Not filters. It does not merely slow bacteria down. It destroys every pathogen, every parasite, every heavy metal at the molecular level in 1 minute with a pinch of purple crystals smaller than a fingernail. British explorers used it in the Congo in 1880. The United States Army issued it to soldiers across the Pacific in 1944. The World Health Organization added it to their emergency field protocols in 1955, then quietly removed it from public distribution recommendations in 1972, the same year the bottled water industry filed its first major lobbying report with the United States Congress. They did not remove it because it failed. They removed it because it worked too well. A powder that purifies 10,000 liters of water for $3 cannot generate monthly revenue. And what cannot generate monthly revenue cannot be allowed to remain in public memory. This is the story of potassium permanganate, the water purifier that armies trusted, that explorers carried across every continent, and that a $270 billion industry spent 50 years making sure you forgot existed. To understand what was buried, you need to go back to where this begins. The year is 1659. A German-British chemist named Johann Rudolf Glauber isolates a deep violet crystal from manganese ore in his Amsterdam laboratory. It dissolves instantly in water. It destroys organic matter on contact. He calls it chameleon mineral because it shifts color from purple to brown to colorless as it neutralizes everything around it. He does not fully understand the mechanism, but he understands what it means. For 2 centuries, the compound circulates quietly among chemists and physicians. Then in 1848, cholera tears through London. People are dying by the thousands. British military surgeons begin testing potassium permanganate solutions in field hospitals. The results are immediate. Water treated with a small quantity of the crystals stops transmitting cholera. Dysentery rates in treated units drop by over 60%. The compound oxidizes organic compounds at the molecular level, breaking the chemical bonds that pathogens need to survive. By 1870, the British Royal Army Medical Corps has standardized permanganate field kits for every tropical deployment. Every soldier entering India, Africa, and Southeast Asia carries a small tin of purple crystals as standard issue. Then, the explorers follow. Henry Morton Stanley carries potassium permanganate on his 1876 expedition across the Congo Basin, 7,000 miles through the jungle with the highest density of waterborne disease on Earth. His journals, preserved at the British Library, reference the purple crystals repeatedly. Without them, he writes, half his party would have died within the first month. By 1890, every major European colonial medical corps has been adopted of it. French Foreign Legion field manuals from 1895 specify exact dosage ratios. German East Africa garrison records from 1905 document 0 cholera deaths in units using permanganate treatment versus 34 deaths per thousand in untreated units the same season. Then, 1943. The United States War Department faces a crisis in the Pacific. Soldiers on jungle islands are drinking from streams contaminated with every waterborne pathogen known to medicine. The Army Surgeon General commissions an emergency field study at Aberdeen Proving Ground in Maryland. Researchers test every available water treatment compound under accelerated contamination conditions. Potassium permanganate outperforms every alternative. A 0.01% solution eliminates 99.9% of all tested pathogens in under 60 seconds. The Army begins issuing it across the Pacific and Burma. Field commanders report dramatic reductions in waterborne illness rates. Every military force that encountered this compound across 2 centuries arrived at the same conclusion independently. British surgeons in Calcutta, French legionnaires in Indochina, American medics in the Pacific. That is not coincidence. That is convergent chemistry confirmed by the most ruthless testing environment in human history: war. This video is just the surface. I have collected everything the water industry does not want you to know. All inside the complete built-fail vault. The atmospheric water generator that pulls clean drinking water from thin air using $2 of materials. The biochar water filter that removes 99% of contaminants for under $15, the same filter NASA tested for deep space missions. The rainwater harvesting system that captures hundreds of gallons and keeps it potable for years without chemicals. The solar water heater blueprint that eliminates your entire hot water bill with a $1 garden hose. The earth battery guide that generates free electricity from two metals and wet soil. The permanganate field dosage chart with exact measurements for every water source type. Over 10 guides in one place. No fluff, straight to the point. The link is in the description. But stay here, the video is just getting started. Potassium permanganate is a strong oxidizing agent. When dissolved in water, it releases reactive oxygen species that attack and break apart the cell walls of bacteria, viruses, and protozoan cysts. It does not target specific pathogens. It oxidizes organic compounds indiscriminately, which means it works against every biological contaminant simultaneously. A study published by researchers at the University of Illinois in 2003 measured efficacy against 14 waterborne pathogens, including E. coli, Salmonella typhi, Vibrio cholerae, Cryptosporidium, and Giardia. At a concentration of 0.01%, 100 milligrams per liter, the compound achieved 99.97% elimination of all 14 pathogens within 60 seconds at room temperature. The Environmental Protection Agency recognizes it as an approved water treatment chemical for municipal systems. A 2018 study from the Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay, found that a 0.02% solution reduced dissolved arsenic concentrations by 94% in under 10 minutes. The World Health Organization's 1955 emergency field protocols describe it as a first-line treatment for disaster response. That document was removed from the World Health Organization's active distribution list in 1972. Now follow the money. The global bottled water industry generates over $270 billion in annual revenue. That is not a typo. The water filtration industry adds another $45 billion. Pitcher filters need replacement cartridges every 60 days. Under-sink systems require annual servicing. Proprietary filter sizes are designed specifically to prevent third-party replacements. The entire architecture of this $315 billion system depends on one engineered belief. That belief is that clean water requires complex, proprietary, expensive, recurring technology. 100 grams of potassium permanganate costs $3 to $5 and treats 10,000 liters of water. The cost per liter treated is less than 1/10 of a cent. You cannot patent potassium permanganate. It is a naturally occurring mineral compound whose chemistry has been in the public domain for over 150 years. You cannot create a subscription model for a powder that anyone can buy in bulk and store indefinitely. You cannot build a $315 billion industry around something that costs less than a cent per 1,000 liters. So in 1972, the same year the World Health Organization pulled its distribution recommendation, the International Bottled Water Association was incorporated in Washington, D.C. and immediately began lobbying the Food and Drug Administration. State health departments started receiving industry-funded guidance documents recommending bottled water as the safest household option. Outdoor retailers that had carried potassium permanganate crystals as standard kit through the 1960s stopped stocking it entirely by 1985. They replaced it with iodine tablets, chlorine dioxide drops, and pump filter systems. All patentable, all requiring recurring replacement purchases, all generating the monthly revenue that a $3 bag of purple crystals fundamentally cannot. You cannot lobby away the chemistry of potassium permanganate. You can only make sure nobody remembers it exists. Here is exactly what to do. Total material cost, $3 to $5. Purchase food-grade or technical-grade potassium permanganate crystals from any agricultural supply store, pool supply retailer, or online bulk supplier. For water purification from rivers, streams, and lakes. Step 1. Fill your container with raw water. Step 2. Add crystals at 100 milligrams per liter, roughly 1/10 of a level teaspoon per liter. The water turns vivid pink to purple immediately. Step 3. Stir briefly to dissolve. Wait 30 minutes at room temperature. In cold water below 15 degrees Celsius, extend to 45 minutes. Step 4. The water is ready when the color fades from deep purple to faint pink. That color shift is visual confirmation the oxidation reaction has completed. If the water stays deep purple after 45 minutes, add a pinch of dirt or a few drops of lemon juice to finish the reaction. Step 5. Filter through a cloth or coffee filter to remove the fine brown sediment. The sediment is inert and harmless, but filtering improves taste and clarity. For heavy metal removal, use 200 milligrams per liter. Allow 15 minutes, then let the sediment settle fully before filtering. This removes iron, arsenic, and lead as visible precipitate. For emergency wound cleaning, 1 gram per liter produces an antiseptic wash effective against bacterial and fungal infections. This was standard British military field medicine from 1870 through 1960. 100 grams at $3 treats 10,000 liters. A life straw costs $20 and treats 4,000 liters before it needs replacing. A Sawyer squeeze costs $35 and needs maintenance every 500 liters. A 24-pack of bottled water costs $5 and gives you 12 liters. I need to be honest with you about the limitations. Potassium permanganate does not remove dissolved chemical contaminants like petroleum derivatives or synthetic pesticides. For chemically contaminated industrial water, combine it with activated charcoal filtration. The crystals must also be stored in a sealed, dark container away from heat. Because concentrated dry permanganate is a strong oxidizer that can ignite organic material on direct contact. Handle carefully and store properly. For biological contamination, the primary survival risk in 99% of field scenarios, it remains one of the most effective, most affordable, and most field-proven options available. In 1944, a 19-year-old Army medic named Thomas Dooley was issued a tin of potassium permanganate crystals before shipping out to the Pacific. He used it every day for 2 years, treating water from jungle streams, rice paddies, and bomb craters across the Philippines and Okinawa. He came home healthy. Men in his unit who ran out of treatment supplies did not. After the war, Dooley became one of the most celebrated humanitarian physicians of the 20th century, running medical missions across Laos and Vietnam. He never stopped carrying potassium permanganate. His field notes are preserved at the University of Notre Dame. The dosage ratios he documented are identical to what the British Army used in 1870, identical to what the World Health Organization published in 1955, identical to what you just learned today. The chemistry has not changed in 365 years. Potassium permanganate does not care about quarterly earnings reports. This compound does not expire because a lobbying campaign decided it was inconvenient. They could pull it from emergency manuals. They could replace it in every outdoor retailer with products that cost 50 times more. But they could not change the chemistry, and the chemistry was always waiting. The next vault opens soon, and what is inside has been buried even deeper than this one.